Observation research. Now, this type of research does not rely on direct interaction with people. There are three different types of observation research: people watching people, people watching activity, and machines watching people. Ooh. Okay, let's have a look. People watching people. This is like a mystery shopper. This is a researcher that poses as a customer to observe the quality of a service, usually in retailers. They go in and they look like a normal shopper, but actually they're doing research. And usually these people are used to evaluate salespeople's courtesy. Are they kind? Or airlines in-flight service, or the efficiency of a hamburger ordering, or things like that. So they'll go and they'll experience it, then they'll write a report afterwards. And all without the employees knowing that they are actually that they are not real customers. Okay, then we have people watching activity. This is known as consumer immersion. Researchers will spend time in the consumer's world to see how they act and engage. For example, Johnson & Johnson's did a day like this with mothers, where they watched how mothers wash their babies using their shampoo. And what they noticed is that mothers hold the baby underneath, right, with the one arm, and then they use their hand to wash the baby, their other hand to wash the baby. So what they did was, when they noticed is that the woman struggled to get the shampoo out of the bottle because of that cap. You see that cap, they have to flip open the cap, and then they have to still press some of the shampoo into their one hand, which is very difficult to do when you've only got one hand. So after a day like this, what they did was they realized we need to give women an easier cap that they can easily put soap in their hand with one hand. And so they developed this cap, which easily you can push with your thumb, and it releases the shampoo into your hand. Okay, very clever. Using consumer immersion to develop that. Okay, then you get one-way mirror observations, like with a focus group, watching people interact. Then a Fisher-Price lab, they watched children. Well, they invited them to come and play with certain toys, and then they watched how they play with them. And what they did was they noticed that children love playing with well, actually they had one of these. They had a little lawn mower, but children were not really buying it very often, or when they did buy it, they didn't play with it for very long. So they wanted to know how they can improve their lawn mower, right? To get people to play with it, kids to play with it more. And during one of these times of watching children play, they noticed how all of them loved bubbles. There were some bubbles that were part of the toys, and they were just blowing them at each other, and they were absolutely loving it. So one of the designers thought, hey, why don't we put some bubble mix inside our lawnmower, so as the child mows the lawn, bubbles come out. And they developed a very, very successful product which children still love to play with today, because it involves being outside, it involves quote unquote mowing the lawn, and while you're mowing the lawn for mommy and daddy, bubbles are being released everywhere. Okay, so that encouraged children to play with this toy more and increase their sales dramatically, all because of using this one-way mirror to watch children play. Then we have machines watching activity. So you have traffic counters. These are they measure the flow of traffic, how much traffic is in specific areas, and it's usually used by outdoor advertising companies. They use the information to determine where to put up their billboards, because they want to put up billboards at the places obviously that have the most traffic. And retailers will also use this to determine where they must put their new shop, because they want a place where there's lots of traffic, lots of people walking. Okay, then we have machines watching activity like the video cart. This is using infrared sensors in a shop to track shopping trolleys. And what they did is they found lots of dippers Dippers are people that leave their trolleys. They don't take their trolley into the aisle. They leave it there at the side of the aisle. And then they just walk into the aisle and they go get the products that they want. And then they walk back to their trolley and put it in there. Now what happens is dippers don't usually buy as many products as other people because they can only fit so much into their hands. So what they want is they want to encourage people to walk down the aisles with their trolleys, because when people have their trolleys with them, they'll often put more products inside the trolley. But dippers are the ones that don't go down the aisles. They wait on the side, they leave their trolley on the side, and they walk down. So there we go. They spend less because they can fit less in their arms. So that's a typical example of information that was gathered using video cart. Okay, then you have something called the people meter. It's like a camera. It's a camera-like device, and it measures TV audiences. It looks kind of like a VCR, and is placed on top of the TV. And usually, companies will ask and pay certain families if they can install it in their home. And it's programmed to recognize faces and record electronically when different members of the family are sitting down to watch TV. It also notes when people leave the room and even when they are not looking at the screen. So it can measure all of this. Which family members, is it the dad, is it the mum, in terms of height, what are they watching, for how long are they watching, when do they leave, and so on and so forth. So this helps them when it comes to when they should develop, for which times of the day they should develop TV ads, how long the TV ad should be, for whom the TV ad should be, and so forth. So all observation techniques offer at least two advantages over survey research. There's no bias from the interviewing process because you're not engaging with the people. So it's not your interpretation. The machines don't lie. Observation does not rely on the respondent's willingness to provide data. They don't have to be willing. You can gather the data from them at any time of the day because you're either watching them or, there's a machine that's gathering the data. They can just carry on with their lives. Disadvantages includes subjective their feelings and thoughts. You cannot gain those that data from them. You can't, because a machine can't ask the customers how they feel. And it can be quite costly. Then we have experiments. An experiment is conducted in a very controlled environment, almost like a laboratory. The researcher will alter certain variables like either price or package design or shelf space, and then they will see what effects that has on the other variables. There are some things that are beyond the researcher's control, for example like competitor actions, but experiments do work well. And I'll give you an example of a Mars bar. A Mars chocolate bar was losing sales to other brands, and surveys showed that it's because it's so small, the consumers don't feel that it's very good value for money, this small little bar, for the money that they're charging. So what they did was they said, what if we make the bar bigger? If we make the bar bigger, will we sell enough? Same price. Okay, we leave the price the same, but we just make the bar bigger. Will we sell enough in order to make up for the ingredients, the extra ingredients that we're putting in? So they designed an experiment where everything stayed the same. The price was the same, the promotion was the same, the place was the same. All they did was they changed the product size in one or two stores. The increased size increased the sales of those chocolate bars and made up for the lost ingredient revenue. The experiment worked, and they rolled out their plan to all the other markets, and sales increased dramatically. Clever, eh?